November 19th, workout breakdown, shoulder day. I think this is an excellent workout, although it probably seems a little bit bland and boring to go over some training stuff, programming stuff, things that I find very important. And again, I know people are often fixated on variability and they like change and they want to see crazy, wild new things and bouncing around. But we need to remember, like, at the end of the day, building muscle is the main goal. It should be the main goal for everybody. At every stage of your life. It doesn't matter how old you are, what you're doing, what you're trying to achieve. Like, we want lean muscle tissue on our body. In order to do that, we need consistency, we need discipline, we need repetitiveness and volume when it comes to particular lifts, especially something like a shoulder day. So the mini cycle, well, I guess I'll start with the mobility stuff. I did want to hit on this. This will be the second day you guys get into week, I believe it's the third week of the HIIT mobility. So this is a Wednesday on the 19th. So you will do this on Monday. So if you're watching this later, you probably don't need to listen to this part. But this week is moving into more strengthening. I know maybe some of you guys are lost on this. I love the monthly emphasis. I think it's really cool. It also challenges me, as a lot of the stuff I haven't gotten this nitpicky in it since the schooling days. So it's really cool to kind of go back and just dig through notes and chapters and books and kind of find the right flow and the right routines and the things that I think challenge the membership base appropriately. And when I say that is, like, when you look around the membership base, you hear from the coaches, the classes I see, the people I talk to, like, what are the things that we need to work on the most? So the first 2 weeks were more mobility and kind of opening you guys up, getting used to the movements, understanding what you can and can't do. And now we're going to move and lean towards a little bit more strengthening stuff. So you guys will start to be a little bit harder, I think, in terms of like taxing, as strength things start to build lactic, and you can really feel the weaknesses and areas of improvements in whatever particular body part we're targeting. Obviously hips here. So the 90-90 is probably just going to stay all month. I don't know that there's a better way to start HIIT mobility and strengthening than just doing 90-90. So I think it's a nice little foundation. Everybody knows it's coming. You can kind of track and pay attention to your I guess you can't track it, but you can take mental notes on how, if the improvement's occurring over the course of the month. And then you guys are going to move into leg lifts, hip bridges and psoas marches, which I'm not going to go over those right now, obviously. And the hip flexor marches, those are all strengthening. So we're working on isolating your hip flexors, particular muscles on some of these, and really using your hip flexors to generate, I'm not going to say power, but to move your entire lower body, which again, if you've already done this on Monday, you know exactly what I'm talking about. If you haven't, if you didn't show up on the Monday before this video, you're going to find out. And then the rocking frog stretch is just, again, mobility and range of motion and opening up, adductors and groins, maybe a little bit of glute there, depending on how mobile you are. So there's that. And then this workout, shoulder press, high pulls, Arnold press. Fantastic. Like, I go to Core 4 6 days a week. I have for a long time. I built this gym, as a lot of you guys know. I really hated that I always had to go to multiple gyms and work out on my own and do the gym's workouts. Like, nothing was ever under one roof. If I had a perfect way to work out, I would say 80% of the time it would look like this. I would start with lift, and I would do, the appropriate amount of sets relative to yourself, work on big lifts, work on some of the supplementary stuff, really work on load and progressive overload and just building lean muscle tissue, and then moving into something a little bit more aggressive that challenges, my aerobic side, my heart and my lungs, et cetera, et cetera. So I think a lot of you guys are familiar with the setup. We have a big lifting block. I think that those of you who've been with me for a while, watch the videos, like, hey, there's a huge lifting block. The chances are the next block is something highly aggressive, and that's completely true, because that's just the best way to do it that I found so far. I'm constantly playing and fiddling with things, but this gets you guys the appropriate amount of volume and added load to build muscle, especially if you track. So shoulder press, week 2 of the mini cycle. Again, mini cycles, remember, a little bit of flexibility. You don't got to feel like anxious or anything if you miss week 1, you're going to miss week 3. That's not the goal. The goal is just get you guys volume repetition consistently for 8 consecutive weeks, not progressively overload like a 12-week. I did just put a video out on the difference between 8 and 12-week cycles. But 12 reps, 30 to 40%. I put the plus sign in. So again, anybody that came to week 1, your goal is to, obviously we drop 3 reps here, is to go up 1 weight class if you think you can handle it. Now, keep in mind, tempo is a beautiful foundation. It teaches your body mind-muscle connection. It teaches you neuromuscular efficiency. It teaches you how to control your line, make your point of contact, all the things that are going to increase your efficiency over time and increase your power output over time, which are things that everybody should want to get better at, whether you know what that is or not. That is what we're working on. So this is week 2 of tempo. I know tempo is not everybody's favorite. It's painful. The lactic buildup is insane. It's slow and tedious. The rep counts are high. Like, I totally understand that. So we're not going to do a ton of weeks of this. Actually, I don't even know. Yeah, it disappears after this week. So week 3, tempo is gone. All right, so you can be excited about that. Dumbbell high pulls is a great kind of yin to yang of the shoulder press. It is a pulling motion instead of a pressing motion. I put it in shoulder day. It's not really a shoulder workout. It's technically a lower body workout, or full body workout, I guess you could say. But a great opportunity to just work on triple extension, being explosive, and adds an element into your lifting that will elevate your heart rate and challenge you in kind of that conditioning piece. If you're using maybe, a medium type weight with a higher rep count up to 7 here. But ultimately, the goal is to learn triple extension, learn how to generate force through the ground up, and then move as much load as possible. And we do high pulls so frequently all the time with anything that's the slam ball, any Olympic lift. Like, high pulls are the bottom of it. So I think having them scattered throughout the months is just really good practice. And again, I've also made a video on bone strengthening. Like, high pulls are fantastic for bone strengthening. So if you're somebody that cares about that, I would take this type of movement very seriously. It's just going to increase your floor on all lifts, let alone the physiological side of the bone strengthening side. Arnold press, just haven't done them in a while. They're fantastic. I will throw in there, if you're watching this video, I'm not a huge fan of isolating your anterior delts, so the front side of your shoulder. I'm not going to go in depth about that, but we highlight those so much through all the pushing movements that we do that I don't love doing front raises all by themselves. So you don't see front raises often. It really depends on what's kind of around it that week or that month. But Arnold presses are fantastic. They do, they don't isolate. They just rely on the front of your shoulder more so than a shoulder press. So again, because you're not moving a ton of load up top and you get that break from the high pulls, I think putting the Arnold presses in here from a programming or a structuring perspective makes total sense, and it fits really, really well, and it gives you guys an opportunity to move a little bit more load if you kind of feel like you missed that on the shoulder press with all the tempo and the lighter weights. And then, as I spoke about earlier, intensity, right? Like, we're not going to go a whole class without elevating our heart rates. I find this incredibly important. It's very similar to there's a lot of studies out there, very short amounts of time or very small bursts of sprinting, what it does to your body, just a huge long list of benefits. So attacking this, from that perspective, you got 8 or 10 minutes here, and your goal is just to increase your output, challenge yourself on the capacity side, meaning, like, obviously if you want to get 18, 20 calories on the rower, you need to try significantly harder than if you're aiming for 12 or 14, right? And again, prioritize the row and, then move into the tuck ups and see what you can handle. So what I mean by that is a lot of people kind of mess that up, and I'm not going to say do it on purpose, but I think a lot of people know that tuck ups are a little bit easier to swallow than calories on the rower. So they'll kind of shut themselves off at the minute mark on the rower just to get to the tuck ups. Like, I don't really care about that. The tuck ups are secondary. I would much rather aim for 20 calories. Again, using myself as an example, base it off yourself. Aim for 20 calories on the rower and say it takes me a minute 15, than just doing 16 because it takes me a minute just so I can get to my tuck ups. I really want to get 20 tuck ups. Like, I would much prefer you guys to aim for the higher aerobic piece and lose some reps on the secondary piece here, that being the tuck ups. In this particular scenario, that is not like always the case. It just depends on what we're trying to do. And what we're trying to do here is hit the cardio side of your body. So anyways, it's a good day. There's a lot going on in here, although it may not look like it. If you guys ever have questions or want to piggyback off anything I'm saying in these videos, like, I love being challenged from a programming perspective. Again, constructively challenged, not just like somebody telling me they hate doing something. That's not helpful at all. But I do listen to it, and a lot of you guys do give me video ideas, which I enjoy. So again, this is the 19th. Hopefully you guys are showing up for the mini cycle.